Good morning, everybody. Unfamiliar settings, an unfamiliar environment, but we're going to be bringing you the Leeds United news this morning. We're going to give you a little bit of a Sunderland preview. I've got myself a coffee here, and the reason, kind of why is it unfamiliar settings? Well, I'll tell you. I had a sort of friends reunion yesterday, and as you can probably tell by my baggy eyes, it was a little bit interesting. It was a little bit interesting to say the least, but it is Christmas, everybody. We're here to enjoy ourselves. I had a fantastic day, and we're having an even better day today because I'm sat here with a coffee speaking to you guys, knowing that later on we will be giving you the full One Leeds coverage, and I am loving what is going on at the minute, everybody. The channel is doing that, the Patreon is doing that, the numbers are doing that, and that's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's really paying dividends, all of your continued, as I've just mentioned, support. So let's get into the finer details of the Sunderland game, and then we're going to get on to a few rumours that we discussed the other day. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail. So tonight, or it might be tomorrow morning, or whatever it might be for you guys in different time zones, Sunderland versus Leeds United. A game which has really crept on us very, very quickly when it comes down to a championship fixture, which is a big one. An absolute blast when it comes to, at the start of the season, looking at those fixtures and thinking, yeah, I can't wait for that one. And Sunderland is a game close to my heart. I've got family friends up there. I've got family up there as well. So Sunderland is a game that I nearly got to, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the travel back. As you guys know, I am on the dark side of the Pennines, so Sunderland there is a little bit difficult. But yeah, and I'd have sat in the home end, which I'm never a massive fan of, to be honest with you. I don't know how some Leeds fans do it, especially you guys have seen my reactions during games. Can't really contain myself. So, yeah, bad idea. So, yeah, big game, big championship game. And on Sky Sports, there's a reason it's on Sky Sports. Sky Sports Leeds, but Sunderland, to be fair to them, in this division are a huge club, and you've got to pay them a lot of respect. And they've got a lot of dangers tonight, a lot of dangers which could cause Leeds a few problems. And yeah, it's a tricky one, and if Leeds can come through this unscathed and we come out of this with a really positive result, then it's a fantastic win, and it could be the best result we've had since Leicester, since the 1-0 win at Leicester. I thoroughly believe that this is probably one of the toughest games / grounds to go to in the Championship. But let me hit you with some knowledge, everybody. Sunderland's home record, if you just go onto any sort of indicative form table over however many, it can be the last 2 years, Sunderland's form is not good at home. It's good away from home, but it's not been good for a long, long time at home. Don't really know why that is. Maybe they've not been able to cultivate the home crowd. Maybe there's been more pressure there, but Sunderland haven't managed to thoroughly get it going at home this season and last season as well. So interesting, very, very interesting statistics when you look at the amount of games and how much they have actually won, and consistently as well. It seems to have come in little sort of like phasey periods. So that's something to keep an eye on. Another thing to keep an eye on is Jack Clarke. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about GNONTO. There's also been a lot of discussion about transfers and essentially what Leeds can and what Leeds can't do. Leeds can do whatever they like, quoting TI there, in terms of budget. I think when it comes to Leeds United and doing the bully boy tactic, which I kept going on about at the start of the year, which we did with Swansea really, really well, getting Joel Perreault, I think Leeds United, it may be difficult, but there is an argument that if potentially this individual does see a pathway at Leeds United, Jack Clarke could be a ready-made replacement for GNONTO. Now, that could be hard to do. If Willie is to go, would Jack Clarke then see himself in the Leeds United picture, especially with Dan James doing so well? I don't know. But can Leeds do these sorts of transfers? Yeah, they can, because Leeds have the financial capital. We also have the pull. I think we also have the name and the players and the form that individuals will have seen with Leeds United over the past however many months. I think that'll be really, really attractive. And essentially, you look at Leeds and you think, well, have they got more chance of promotion than Sunderland this season? You probably turn around to yourself and say, well, yeah, they have. And I'd agree with that. So, Jack Clarke is probably one of the main ones that I'm going to be focusing on tonight. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that one if GNONTO is to leave, because I don't think Leeds United are going to be going for any sort of lowerly target if GNONTO is to leave. I think Farke wants to keep the nucleus of the side together, and the external parts, which you could argue is Charlie Cresswell at the minute. and he wants to galvanise that group. If we don't make any additions in the window, I think that's a bad move. But overall, I think us going for high championship targets is more than doable, and it makes sense. So yeah, Jack Clarke, and definitely one to focus on tonight, obviously. Another one, Dan Ballard, obviously the centre-back at Sunderland, who's been getting a lot of plaudits. There's been a lot of clubs looking at him at this moment in time in terms of his defensive resilience. Sunderland managing to pick him up really on an absolute steal. And Sunderland are doing this at the minute. They're picking up, a lot of their window. For example, when Ross Stewart left, they were able to go out there and pick up names that nobody's really heard of. And that's the tactic at the minute. It's almost like the Brentford tactic, the Brighton tactic of trying this Moneyball strategy. And it seems to be working relatively well for Sunderland. They've been very, very competitive now, if you include this season and obviously last season when they're in the playoffs. And it seems to be a really good strategy for them. I'd like for Leeds United to employ that at some moment, at a specific point. There's a lot of rumours at the minute that we're interested in Aberdeen's 33-year-old head of recruitment. Is that the way we're going down, a data-led model? Interesting. Another one to focus on, Dan Neil, obviously in defensive midfield. Ballard and him are going to have a lot of areas to work out when it comes to Leeds transitionally. And what I do think Sunderland are going to do, I think they were, in terms of playing style, us and Sunderland have been the most difficult teams that Leicester have played at the King Power. Us obviously beating them, Sunderland didn't beat them. But what I did notice when I watched that game at the King Power when Leicester won 1-0 is Sunderland are a serious team. They can keep the ball, they can press aggressively. And we've spoken about pressing before. Are they going to maintain this press now? Are they going to maintain any sort of press on Leeds United's unit with regards to obviously the managerial change of Tony Mowbray leaving? Apparently they're looking at Will Still at Rem, which will be a really interesting appointment. And are they going to maintain those principles? Are they going to press Leeds? We've seen Stoke do it. We've seen Southampton do it. We've seen Swansea do it. We even saw Plymouth do it in tiny phases. And we obviously saw it with Middlesbrough at the last game at Ellen Road. So, and Blackburn, obviously, Blackburn did it for large periods. They were pressing really, really aggressively on Leeds, and Leeds really, for a lot of the game, couldn't really get themselves out of it. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Sunderland do with the home crowd behind them as well, which is going to be massive. Huge numbers there, as we all know, at Sunderland. Can Leeds deal with it? We're going to play over it when it comes to a press, or we're going to try play through it, which I presume we're going to try and do. I think there needs to be a little bit more strategy going into this game, because I think it's going to be that tough. But yeah, Dan Neil is another one to touch on. And obviously, our outlets for this game is going to be, for me, Joel Perreault and Crescencio Somerville. Why Joel Perreault? I think what you are going to see is a very, very similar Blackburn style when it comes to defensive play from Sunderland. I think they're going to aggressively press us. And I think with how they set up, Joel Perreault is going to be that spare man. And I think if he is that spare man, he has a real opportunity to dictate play, and he needs to do it consistently. Crescencio Somerville is the best player, in my opinion, in the Championship at the minute. So he is going to be a key player in this game. Because as we saw against Blackburn, if he is completely nullified, which can happen, Leeds struggled. It was only until Spence came on and GNONTO came on that we saw a little bit more of Somerville. And I think that was because there was just a little bit more space. But obviously, what do we know from the press conference? We know that Sam Byram's out for 3 weeks. It's going to be absolutely mental if Leeds United do not go out there and get a left-back done. I've mentioned several times before that I think Leeds have got to go for the top options in the division, and that is doable with Leeds United's financial and numerical position, 100% doable. And I think if they're able to get some of those names done, which we'll speak on in a future video, it'll be interesting to see them come in and Leeds actually having a standard left back, which would be quite nice. Who can affect games. So, yeah, Byram out. We know this. There's no point in relying on Sam Byram. I've said this ages ago. There is 0 point, and we need 2 left-backs. We genuinely do. Because what? Firpo? We don't even know if he's going to be sticking around. Is he good enough? No. There's an argument there's 2 left-backs that need to be coming in. I was definitely saying that in the summer. So, overall, interesting game tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I wanted to touch on a few of the of the other rumours that we spoke about yesterday. Obviously, Jack Harrison, apparently a £20 million buyout clause. Leeds United and Everton have essentially already agreed, according to sources, I will say. And there is apparently a £73 million bid apparently about to be readied by the dark side of Manchester for Rafinha, according to sources this morning. Please, God, no. Guys, it's been a little bit of a make-do room mill this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. Needed to get one out, obviously. We couldn't live stream because we are in a different location. But we will be live streaming tonight. We've got some stuff going on over on the Patreon account. Shout out to 3 new members yesterday. You guys, I really appreciate your support, and everybody who's around about the Patreon at the minute. It seems to be gathering a real nice community over there. Yeah, and guys, I will look forward to seeing you tonight from 7:30, where we'll be discussing the team. We'll probably have Gabe on as well, discussing the options and stuff like that, going through the halftime chat, which you guys really do enjoy. And also, we will have your usual stuff post-match, your instant match reaction. We'll have the 3 things we learned after the game as well on the channel, and we'll have your play ratings on the Patreon if you want some bonus content as well. Guys, as always, excuse me, it's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you this evening for the watch-along. See you in a bit.